Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're packing our virtual bags and heading over to Barcelona.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But before you start dreaming about, tapas or paella or spending the afternoon on the beach,
Mhm.
I actually want you to visualize the Mobile World Congress.
Right. MWC, the big one, the chaotic one.
Exactly. And be honest for a second. If I say Mobile World Congress, what is the very first image that pops into your head?
Probably a CEO in a blazer holding up a shiny new phone.
Right. Or maybe a booth full of people wearing VR headsets looking just a little confused.
Yeah, waving their arms around.
Exactly. It's usually seen as the Olympics of connectivity.
That is the classic image for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, for years, MWC has been the place where we go to obsess over 5G speed tests and foldable screens. It's been very hardware focused.
Right. But here is where it gets really interesting today. We're looking at a stack of sources specifically focusing on Microsoft for startups' presence at MWC 2026. And it suggests we need to completely delete that mental image and start over.
Completely delete it.
Yeah. We are diving into an article by Sheesh S. titled Building What Comes Next. And the core premise, the phone is almost the least interesting thing there.
Which is a bold claim for the Mobile World Congress. But looking at the research, it actually holds up. The argument here is that MWC has quietly morphed. It's no longer just a trade show for gadgets. It has really become the meeting point for what they're calling enterprise transformation.
Enterprise transformation.
Yeah. It's where the cloud, AI, and the edge all crash together to form a new operating layer for the business world.
I want to pause on that phrase right there because it sounds heavy. A new operating layer. It almost sounds like we're upgrading the operating system of the entire corporate world.
In a way, we are. And to really understand that, we have to look at what we've been doing for the last 10 years. I mean, we've been talking about digital transformation until we're all blue in the face.
Oh, I know. It's the ultimate buzzword. Usually it just means, it means we scanned our paper files and put them on a server somewhere.
Exactly. It was all about digitization. Storing things. Moving things from a literal filing cabinet to the cloud. But the source material flags a hard pivot for 2026. We are moving past the era of just storing data. We're entering an era of intelligence that can sense, decide, and act in real time.
Act. I feel like act is the key word there. Right.
Crucially, think about traditional software for a second. It's passive. It just sits there and waits for you. You type in a query, gives you a report. You have to read the report, understand it, and then go make a physical decision.
You do the work.
Right. The shift we're seeing in Barcelona is software that starts to actually shape how business runs. It doesn't just show you the data, it initiates the workflow.
That sounds incredible, but also, a little chaotic. Everyone wants to move that fast, but in the real world, big companies are slow.
Very slow.
Ideas get stuck in committee meetings. We have all been there.
You've hit on the central tension of this whole deep dive. The problem, if you will. The source material calls it pilot purgatory.
Pilot purgatory. Man, I feel like I have lived there.
We all have.
You build a proof of concept, it looks cool in the lab, everyone claps, and then silence.
It never reaches real deployment. That is the valley of death for innovation. And that's actually the specific mission Microsoft is claiming at this conference. They're trying to play matchmaker.
Matchmaker how?
Well, on one side, you have these startups we're going to talk about today. They bring the speed, the bold thinking, that classic break things and move fast energy.
Right.
But on the other side, you have the enterprise. And the enterprise needs security, they need scale, and they need reliability.
So Microsoft is essentially saying, we'll be the bridge. The rebel startups meeting the responsible corporate parent.
They call it co-innovation. The idea is to take solutions that are already production ready and not just science fair projects and connect them with enterprise leaders who need to solve real problems right now.
Well, let's test that claim.
Yeah.
Because the list of companies Microsoft is bringing to Barcelona is pretty wild.
It really is.
It's not just, here's a slightly better spreadsheet. We are talking about digital employees, robots, and literally listening to the heartbeat of the internet.
It's a very diverse group, but they all share that one theme, moving from idea to impact.
Okay, so let's start with the workforce.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every time we talk about AI, we use these really gentle terms. Co-pilot. Assistant.
Helper.
Yeah, helper. But this source mentions a startup called EA that sounds like it's graduating from assistant to full-on worker.
That is a very fair assessment. EMME actually describes itself as a universal AI employee.
A universal AI employee, that feels like a distinction that really matters.
It does. A basic chatbot creates text. You ask it to write an email, it writes an email. EMA is claiming to be an agent that executes complex workflows end to end.
Okay, give me a concrete example, because how is it different from me just running a complicated macro on Excel?
Think about the difference between task automation and outcome-driven AI. Task automation is simple. Copy this number from this spreadsheet, paste it into that database. A simple script can do that. EMA is designed to integrate across your ERP system, your CRM, and your support platform all simultaneously.
Just for those of us who don't speak fluent corporate acronyms, ERP is basically the financial brain of the company, and CRM is the customer database, right?
Correct. So normally, a human worker has to tab switch between all those different systems just to solve one problem.
Which takes forever.
Right. EMA functions as a layer on top of all that. It understands the outcome you want, like resolve this shipping dispute, and it has the actual permission to go into those systems and do the work.
See, that is the part that makes enterprise IT folks nervous, though, isn't it?
It's so.
The phrase, permission to do the work.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if a chatbot writes a bad poem, it's funny. If a universal AI employee messes up a bank transfer or deletes a massive customer record, that is a very bad day.
That's a career-ending event. And that is exactly why the source emphasizes the enterprise trust angle here. These startups aren't just being picked because they have cool demos on a laptop.
Right.
They're being picked because they have the security architecture to prevent exactly that disaster scenario.
Speaking of letting AI handle the messy stuff, there's another startup here called Notch, N-O-T-C-H. And they're completely focused on customer support.
Notch is fascinating because they're attacking the human-in-the-loop bottleneck.
But usually, we're told humans must be in the loop. We want that personal touch, don't we?
Usually, yes. But Notch is building autonomous AI for support that resolves complex tickets without human intervention.
Wow.
Not just assisting the human agent with a suggested reply, but resolving the issue entirely on its own.
So it's moving support from reactive, like, oh, something broke, let me go fix it, to proactive.
Proactive and scalable. Look, if you have a massive server outage or a huge product recall, a human call center just collapses.
Yeah, you get those weird experiencing higher than normal call volumes messages.
Exactly. You simply cannot hire fast enough to answer the phones in a crisis. An autonomous layer scales infinitely. It frees up the human workers to deal with the really weird, complex, highly emotional stuff that actually requires empathy, while Notch handles the technical resolution.
That makes total sense. You really don't need a human to reset a password for the 10,000th time today.
No, you don't.
But then you have the third one in this workforce bucket, which feels like it goes in almost the opposite direction. It's called personal AI.
This one is conceptually very interesting. It addresses the brain drain.
Which is a huge issue. I mean, think about how much knowledge walks out the front door every time a senior employee retires or quits.
It's staggering.
It's not just the files on their hard drive, it's the context.
Exactly. It's how they reasoned through a really weird problem 3 years ago. Personal AI is a platform for creating secure AI personas that learn from your specific documents and your conversations.
So it's not just some generic AI helper, it's AI me.
In a way, yeah, it allows you to scale yourself. If you're a subject matter expert, you physically can't be in every single meeting. But your personal AI could be drafted to answer questions, generate drafts in your specific voice, and essentially clone your functional knowledge.
But the privacy aspect there has to be watertight.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want my personal AI sharing my draft emails or my private notes with the whole company.
And the source material highlights that specifically. They heavily prioritize data privacy. It is a small model approach.
Small model.
Yeah, meaning it's trained on your data for your use, not fed into some giant public brain that everyone else can access and scrape.
Okay, so that is the digital office. We have agents doing the grunt work, and we have personal clones saving our knowledge. But MWC has always had a hard work component. And looking at the next section of this deep dive, AI is getting hands and eyes.
This is where we see the real convergence of the edge in AI.
Let's unpack the edge for a second, because that's another one of those industry terms. We basically mean processing data right where it's collected on the device on the robot, rather than sending it all the way to a server farm in another state and back, right?
Correct. And it all comes down to latency. If a massive robot arm is about to drop a heavy box on your foot, it cannot wait 500 milliseconds for a cloud server to tell it to stop.
Speed is safety.
Speed is safety.
So who is General Robotics?
They are tackling a problem that has plagued the robotics industry for 50 years.
Rigidity. Rigidity.
Yeah. Traditionally, if you wanted a robot to weld a car door, you programmed it to move to coordinate X, then coordinate Y, then coordinate Z.
And if the car door happened to be an inch to the left.
The robot happily welds the empty air, or worse, it crushes the door. It was completely scripted. General Robotics has a platform called GRID. And the key detail here is that they aren't just selling the metal robot arm.
Okay.
They're selling the intelligence layer. They offer modular skills: perception, planning, action.
Modular skills. So it's almost like downloading an app. Like, hey, robot, today you know how to stack boxes.
Sort of. Instead of hard-coding every single movement millimeter by millimeter, you give the robot the skill to recognize what a box looks like. You give it the skill to plan a path around an unexpected obstacle. This makes the robot adaptive.
That is a game changer for logistics. I mean, warehouses are messy places. Things fall over. People walk in the way unexpectedly.
Right. You need a robot that can reason through the environment, not just blindly follow a script. That is what GRID provides. It's basically the difference between a train stuck on tracks and an off-road vehicle.
Wow. Okay, so from industrial arms to human faces. Let's talk about DID, because I feel like I've seen this tech before, talking to avatars.
You likely have, but the fidelity is rapidly shifting. DID transforms photos or videos into interactive conversational agents.
Okay, play devil's advocate with me here.
Okay.
Why do I need a face?
What do you mean?
If I'm at a customer service kiosk at an airport or doing some corporate training module, why isn't text enough? Or just a pleasant voice?
It comes down to trust and engagement. We are biological creatures, and we are hardwired to look at faces. Text on a screen is just cold information. But a face looking at you, nodding, reacting to your tone, that is interaction.
So it's about crossing that uncanny valley so it doesn't just look creepy.
Precisely. DID is aiming for that natural, high-fidelity interaction where you actually forget you're talking to a generated video loop. You just focus on the information. It puts a human face on all this intelligence we've been discussing.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And then we have healthy, which sounds like selfie with an H.
Which is exactly what it is. It basically turns your phone into a medical device.
This is the one that uses the sensors you already have in your pocket, right?
Yes. This is a prime example of machine sensing. Your smartphone has an incredibly high-resolution camera, a sensitive microphone, and massive processing power.
Yeah.
Healthy uses that to analyze sound, like the specific frequency of a cough or images, and video to provide preventative health insights.
That is fascinating because it takes the edge AI concept completely out of the factory and puts it, well, on us, on our bodies.
And for an enterprise leader, say a massive insurance company or a huge global employer, this is huge. It moves health from a reactive dashboard of, how many people called in sick today, to a proactive tool for population health. It's democratizing diagnostics.
All right, so we've got the workers, the AI agents, we've got the physical bodies, the robots, and the avatars. Now we need the brain, or maybe the nervous system, the data.
The pulse of the market. This is the third big bucket in our source material.
And I have to say, the critique of the old way of doing things here is pretty savage. It basically says most companies drive their business by looking in the rearview mirror.
Quarterly reports, monthly reviews. By the time you actually see the data on a spreadsheet, the reality on the ground has already changed. The startups in this section, iGenie.ai, Tembi, Jusual, they are all about real-time signals.
Let's look at iGenie.ai first. They claim to do consumer intelligence without surveys or panels. How do they know what I want if they don't actually ask me?
Think about how much data is generated every single second online. Search terms, social media posts, comments, forum discussions. They call them digital breadcrumbs.
Okay.
iGenie synthesizes billions of these data points to build a highly accurate picture of what people want right now.
So instead of asking 500 people in a stale focus group, hey, do you like vanilla?
They just watch a million people tweeting about how much they hate vanilla this week. It is observation versus interrogation. It allows brands to catch a tiny trend on a Tuesday that would have been a completely missed opportunity by Friday.
That is incredibly powerful. And Tembi, that sounds somewhat similar.
Similar underlying tech, but a different target. Tembi is a market intelligence platform. It's less about raw consumer sentiment and much more about the strategic landscape. Like, what are your competitors doing? Where is the actual growth happening right now?
Oh, I see. So iGenie is what do people feel, and Tembi is what is the market doing?
Exactly. It gives you a live view of risk and opportunity. You aren't guessing based on last quarter's numbers.
Now, Jusual. This one felt the most technical to me when I was reading the source. But the real-world payoff seemed the most tangible. It's a network reliability platform.
It is all about correlation.
Break that down for me. Why should a CEO care about correlation?
Okay, imagine you are a major telecom company. Suddenly, you get 500 angry complaints that the internet is down in a specific neighborhood,
The old way to handle that is I send a truck roll.
which costs hundreds of dollars per trip. The technician drives out there, climbs the pole, looks at the equipment, and realizes the power is out on that entire block. There's nothing wrong with your internet cable. The modem just doesn't have electricity.
So it's a totally wasted trip.
A wasted trip, wasted money, and a very frustrated technician. Visual correlates those service tickets with third-party data like power grid status, weather events, infrastructure work instantly. It tells the operator right away, hey, don't send a truck, it's just a power outage.
That is such a great example of intelligence that decides. It connects two completely different dots, an internet outage and a power outage, that are usually trapped in separate corporate silos.
And it proves that the true value of data isn't just hoarding it. Everyone has data. The real value is in making it actionable to solve a boring, expensive problem like unnecessary truck rolls.
So we've covered the tech, we have amazing agents, we have adaptive robots, and we have real-time data. But we have to circle back to the very beginning, that pilot purgatory. Because you can have the smartest robot and the best market data in the world, but if the CIO says no, the whole thing dies.
That is the adoption gap, and it is actually the subject of a specific panel happening at MWC on March 4th.
Right, from pilots to production. I have the details for that here. It's at 3:20 p.m.
Moderated by Shish Des, who authored our source article, and he is bringing these founders right on stage. John McAllister from Visual, Trevor Sumner from iGenie.ai, and Dinesh Narayan from General Robotics.
That's a really solid lineup. You have the infrastructure guy, the data guy, and the robot guy.
And the discussion isn't going to be about tech specs or features. It is entirely about integration. How do you take these nimble startups and actually weave them into a massive legacy corporation without breaking everything?
The source mentions that Microsoft curates these startups for being enterprise-ready. What does that badge actually mean in practice? Is it just marketing fluff?
No, it's deep technical validation. It means they have strictly checked the boxes on security compliance, cloud scalability, and API stability. It is Microsoft putting their weight behind them, telling its big enterprise customers, we have vetted these guys, they will not crash your system.
That is the trust factor right there. It's the difference between buying a random gadget from an unknown website and buying it from a certified dealer.
It shifts the entire conversation from, is this risky, to how quickly can we apply this? It turns curiosity into intent.
Curiosity turns into intent. I really like that line from the notes.
It is the core message of their whole presence there. Don't just walk the floor and look at the shiny gadgets. Co-create. Engage with the founders. The era of innovation theater where you just do a flashy pilot to look cool on social media is over. You need to move to actual impact.
So let's pull this all together. We are at MWC 2026. The real takeaways aren't about 6G or 7G speeds.
No. The takeaway is that the new operating layer is actually here. It is a convergence. You have the cloud providing the infrastructure, you have the startups bringing the agility and the intelligence, and you have the enterprise providing the massive scale. When those three lock together, business fundamentally changes.
It stops being about software supporting the business and starts being about software taking action.
Intelligent action.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought that really struck me while we were reading through the robotics section of this material. We are talking about software that can independently sense the physical world, decide the best path forward, and actually physically act to move things. We were talking about AI employees that can execute multi-step workflows securely on their own.
It raises a very, very provocative question about leadership.
It really does. If the how of business, the execution, the monitoring, the adjusting is becoming completely automated, what is actually left for the human leader to do?
It might honestly be the end of management as we know it. We have spent a century teaching managers how to meticulously monitor processes. If the machine monitors the process and fixes it, the human role shifts entirely to defining the intent.
You don't need to physically steer the ship anymore. You just need to be very, very clear about exactly where you want it to go.
And why? The why becomes the only thing that cannot be automated by a small model or a robot arm.
A new job description for the CEO of 2030. Chief Intent Officer.
I suspect we will see that title on LinkedIn sooner than we think.
Something to chew on. Well, whether you are heading to Barcelona for the networking or just watching the live streams from your desk, that is our deep dive on Microsoft for Startups at MWC 2026.
Stay curious out there.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.